Yo, what's up guys? It's the new sensation, Big O Notation here, and today I've actually got a gameplay for us to review, and I'm going to be commentating over it, kind of explaining some of the plays that went through during this match. This is going to be the first game in a best of 3 match that I played in the first round of the Rising Phoenix Odyssey tournament. Now, some of you who have been watching the channel for a very long time might remember that around the start of this year, I participated in, I think, like the second or third version of the Rising Phoenix Odyssey tournament, which is where you play a new round every week. And you obviously organise with your opponent. It can be on webcam or untap. As you can see, for this game, it was on webcam. And for each different round, you play a different deck. So it's very similar to the Fight Night events that I've been participating in recently, except that you play a different deck every round instead of every game. So for this round, I decided to opt to play my Janemba list that I've profiled recently. And I was against a Xeno player, which was very good fun because I've obviously also been playing a lot of the Xeno deck and really enjoying it. And the match went really long. If you can see by the current video length that I've got up here, it's 2 hours long because there's no time limit, because you just have to play the match over the course of a week. So there's no time limit to any of the matches, which is why I'm probably gonna only do the first game of this match for this video, and then I'll try and do the other individual games over the best of 3 match later on. But I don't know if I can handle sitting here for 2 hours and commentating over it, and I don't think anyone would particularly enjoy watching that for 2 hours straight, so I figured I'd break it up into more sizable chunks. But joining me in this tournament are 2 very good friends of mine. The guy running it, Rising Phoenix Odyssey, shout out to him by the way, subscribe to his channel and stuff. I'll have links to his channel in the description. He's running the tournament, big shout out to him. But he has said that you can have up to 2 people join you to represent your channel as like a team sort of. And so joining me in the tournament representing the Big O Notation channel are Iratorum, aka Tom. So if you have been paying attention to any of the Fight Night events recently, I know that you will definitely have heard of Iratorum. He's been the final match or main event to most of the Fight Night events that have been happening recently. And I'll have links to his Twitch and YouTube down in the description, as well as Johnny, aka Turn to Stone. Both of them stream on Twitch, and I think both of them have got YouTube channels as well, but I'll have links to all of them in the description. But they're going to be representing the Big O Notation channel during this tournament, and I'll try and keep updated with them as to how they're doing throughout the tournament. But I might be playing some of them later on, and if I do, I'll definitely give them a shout out again. But big shout out to them as well for representing the channel. I hope that they can do us proud. And I guess we'll just get straight into the video. So going straight into the matchup, I already knew it was going to be a long one, and I wasn't feeling too happy about it because I was actually ill during the time of recording and during when we were actually playing out the match. So I really wasn't looking for a long game, so maybe Janemba wasn't the best pick, but I just figured an easy deck like Janemba to play would be quite good for me whilst I'm ill. But because it's mill versus mill, the matchup is definitely going to go on for a long time. It went on for 2 hours, and we went to game 3 as well, which was absolutely horrible. It was really torturous. But big shout out to my opponent. I've actually, I think my opponent also has a YouTube channel. The idea of the Rising Phoenix Odyssey event is that it's a bunch of Dragon Ball Super YouTubers competing, and so you can kind of use it as a way to make content and get your channel out there, get a bit more publicity for your channel, and so that's what I'm using it for. But I'll have a link to my opponent's channel in the description. I've completely blanked right now, and I'm really sorry because I've forgotten what the actual channel is called, but I'll have a link to it in the description. Definitely go check it out. The guy was really nice. I think he was Australian, so really good guy. Yeah, just really good fun to play against. But yeah, going into it, I knew it was going to be a long match, and I was trying to think what I could really be doing against Xeno, because it's kind of a tricky matchup for Janemba because they have the Toa Unison that can put extra cards back into the drop from the drop area to the bottom of the deck. And obviously, if he's putting 3 extra cards back every turn and I'm only milling him 2 per turn, I'm never going to mill him out. So, as you can see, he's already got the Toa Unison down. He's already upticking the markers, and it's really hard to get through the Toa Unison playing against Xeno because their leader is blocker, and the Unison gains a marker every time the leader blocks. So, it's actually really, really tricky to get through, even though the Unison only has a +1 skill. But here I'm just swinging to his leader. There's no point swinging to his Unison here because he'll just block and gain a marker. So I just want to swing to his leader to make sure that I can keep milling him 2 every turn. And I didn't mill any of his Xeno Sin cards, which was really good for me because it makes it a little bit trickier for him to awaken early. Here he's activating his extra card to search another extra card and then milling us both 1. Just kind of start, very, very slow start. Obviously, it's 2 mill decks, so they're going to be taking a little bit of a while. He's just looking to try and awaken early with the alternative awakening of the Sin Xeno leader getting 7 dragons in the drop. Apologies for any lag that might happen here. My laptop is very, very old, so recording these games and playing them and streaming at the same time was very, very tricky for my laptop. It was struggling a little bit, I think. So there might be a bit of lag for my opponent's camera, but that's not his problem at all. I think that was mostly just my laptop and Discord not working too well together. Here he's dropped a bunch of dragons in the drop area and kept on digging through his deck with the discard effects off of his leader and off of Ultimate Whirlwind Spin. And that puts him at 7 dragons in drop, so he's awakened turn 2. Playing against Sin Xeno was a really interesting experience, actually, because I learned that the deck can awaken turn 2 very, very consistently. I think he awakened turn 2 every single game that we played. So that was really interesting to watch, and I'm definitely going to be taking that into consideration when I play the deck in the future, especially against aggro. Awakening turn 2 against aggro is so, so strong. And it will just help you maintain that extra life a little bit further. So here I've charged a multicolour Bojack, the Arrival one. That is just so that on turn 4 I can charge the Checkland Bojack and still be able to bring in my Majin Buu Unison. And then here I think I either milled or comboed away a Bardock the Eliminator and then tapped 1 to warp it and draw a card. Apologies for the quality on my camera. My webcam is also not very good. But we're on a budget, so it is what it is, I guess. I think later on in the game a couple of people jump into the Discord server, which was a little bit annoying because it kind of messed with the visibility of some of the cameras on each side because it made them a little bit smaller, so I apologize for that in advance. I've literally just finished working on some OBS scenes to try and reduce the impact of that in the future so that the cameras are set up a lot smoother in terms of recording and stuff. So if you're excited as excited as I am for the new OBS scenes, which I'm very, very looking forward to being able to show off to you guys, definitely stay tuned for the future gameplay of this tournament, because there will be more to come. It's a double elimination tournament, so even if you lose one best of 3 match, you're still in the tournament, and you have to lose 2 to get knocked out officially. Here he's just cycling through some extra cards, making me mill a few cards, and I just dropped Bean down to defend my leader. I think the main reason I used Bean there was so that I was planning to arrival in something if he swung again, but he ended up not swinging with the toe or anything. So that was my reasoning behind that. And also I was considering, I wanted to make sure I had 2 energy open so that I could have my Zamasu counterplay live as well. But he ended up not playing anything for the rest of the turn and then just dropping an Oceanus negate on my turn. This is why you always want to be swinging with leader first in Janemba. Even if you have other cards down, you probably want to swing with leader first, because if they had a floodgate negate like Topo or Oceanus negate, then swinging with the leader afterwards can be really, really detrimental to you. So here, even though he's dropped Oceanus down, I still get the mill 2 on him. And I'm dropping down my Majin Buu Unison as well, which is great. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to swing with it, but it just means that I can pressure him with double strikes later on in the game, and I have some draw power and untap power. Like, look at my hand right now, it's absolutely massive. For a deck that doesn't really draw that much, Janemba is kind of renowned for not drawing very much on its own. My hand is absolutely massive right now. And I think that's one of the main strengths of the Janemba build that I've managed to cook up, is that it actually has quite a lot of draw power. So if you're against one of the slower decks, you're able to draw quite a lot of cards. Here he's swinging into my Unison because his leader buffs up to 20k on swing, and so he'd be able to just take markers off my Unison. And I just tap 1 for the Trunks Heroic Prospect. Heroic Prospect is not going to be a useful card this match, so I just use it as a way to save a marker on my Unison. And then he uses his Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet to just warp it, which is fair enough, and makes me mill another card. I have to be really, really careful about the size of my deck here, because even though my hand is massive, I'm still going to be drawing a lot of cards because I just need to make sure that my plays are going even in terms of hand advantage. And when I'm drawing all of these cards, my deck is going to be getting very, very thin here with the amount of extra cards that the opponent plays as well. Here I want to be taking out his Unison, so I start swinging down his Unison with my leader, and it means that because he's blocked with his leader, his Unison gains a marker, but it means that he won't be able to block the swing with my Unison, and my Unison is obviously double strike, so it will take 2 markers off his Unison rather than 1. And I figure if I combo in this Bojack from my hand, I can then tap 2 to bring in the Bojack afterwards and take off 2 more markers because it's a dual attack. Here he's managed to search out his Oceanus negate, and he decided to discard off the Whirlwind Spin to give his leader 1k for the turn. This is absolutely fine for me. This works in tandem with my strategy because I've left 2 energy open for the Zamasu counterplay, and the Zamasu counterplay can actually hit Oceanus if they're playing it on your turn, because it is considered as a 2-drop when it's played. Here I am bottom decking his Oceanus. That's just to get rid of the blocker so he can't block my double strike swing here. And he doesn't Oceanus negate, even though he has the 2 energy up, which I found a little bit weird. But he just takes the 2 markers on his Unison. And here he uses Power Burst to take the life and grab back a 1-drop. This is because I'm probably not going to be killing him through life. I'm going to be trying to mill him out as any Janemba deck normally would. So he's not too worried about taking life, and I'm just looking to kill his Unison so that I can actually mill him out. So I've taken his Unison down to 1 marker, which is really, really good for the deck, and for this matchup. Since Xeno really struggles without a Unison because they can't Spirit Boost in their free extra cards, and their extra cards are going to be their win condition with how much the deck mills. So once I can get through that Unison, I'm in a much better position, and his Unison is softening all of the blows of my mills because it's able to put back 3 cards every turn. Here he Whirlwind Spins for the 4-drop, and the 4-drop is actually really scary for me because I'm a blue deck, and the 4-drop is especially good against blue decks because you can afford to go long and go to like turn 5, turn 6 against blue. And the barrier deflect keywords on the 4-drop put in a lot of work against blue because they can't really remove the 4-drop through barrier. So here he's just doing his thing, grabbing back, or dropping down the Neutrons that he grabbed with Power Burst and grabbing back some extra cards. I think he's swinging here at my Unison again, just wanting to get through my Unison markers, which makes a lot of sense. And here I'm going to do effectively the same play as him, just sparking negate, because I know that he's not going to kill me through life this turn, or this game, sorry. He's going to be looking to mill me out, and so I can afford to just take life and use them as cards to my hand rather than a lifeline, because the cards in my deck are the lifeline, not the cards in my life. Here he uses the Negative Energy Explosion to search his ultimate Dragon Quake, and that forces me to mill a card because he played an extra card. And here he Spirit Boosts in the Bullet, which removes my Bojack, which is really annoying because Bojack would have been amazingly helpful in terms of getting through his Unison And here he actually uses the limit 1 effect of his super combo, which is to stick it under his Unison after he's used a Spirit Boost skill, to then gain another marker and draw a card. So it's not bad. In this particular situation, it's pretty strong because it means that I'm going to have to connect my Majin Buu Unison into his Unison to cleanly take away those 2 markers. But here I'm thinking I can bounce back his Oceanus Negate, which he'll probably drop on me with those 2 energy that he's got. I can bounce that back with the Zamasu Negate and then bait out his leader block with one of my other swings and swing double strike to his Unison. Instead, I think he just decides to block with his leader straight out the gate on my leader, which I'm absolutely fine with. I don't even need to combo in because I don't want to be inflicting damage to him, because that'll just give him more cards in hand. So I decide not to combo on that swing, just leave it at 10 to 15. And here I can swing my Unison to his Unison. He's probably going to Oceanus Negate, because even if I can Zamasu it back to his hand, it's still going to negate the attack, because he doesn't have to play the Oceanus for the attack to get negated. So here I decide to Zamasu it back to his hand anyway. That lets me draw a card and rest one of his 1-drops down. And that's still fine for me because he's still tapped out, and I still have a few more swings that I can push through onto his Unison. And I really need to get through this Unison this game. Like, I can't stress how important it is that I can kill the Unison, because otherwise I'm never going to be able to mill him out. He's just going to be able to put back all his extra cards every turn, and his extra cards are going to make it harder for me to, or easier for him to mill me out. So here I'm able to combo in my Bojack and bring him in. I think that here I should have swung, I could have done with swinging the Zamasu into the Toa and then comboing the Bojack, because that would have achieved the same thing, because he obviously can't combo out on a Unison swing. And it would have just meant that I had a 10k swinger rather than a 5k swinger active, which would have been helpful because I'm going to swing into his 1-drop Naturon later on, right here in fact. And so it's a minor misplay, it doesn't really make a difference, but in case he wanted to combo out of the attack on his 1-drop, it would have made a difference. But luckily it doesn't, because he doesn't decide to combo out and he just lets the 1-drop die, which makes sense really. So here I'm in a pretty strong position. I don't know how many cards each of us have left in deck. I think we get to counting them a little bit later in the game. But I just have a pretty strong board at the moment. I haven't awakened yet because I want to save my 2 energy that I can gain off the awaken for later. And I know that he's not going to kill me, so I don't need the extra 5k on my leader, and I don't need the extra negate yet. I can always just use that when I need it. But I just have a pretty strong board, and I've managed to get through his Unison. Yeah, so here we're counting cards in deck. I think I was on about 10 there, or something like that. I didn't... And I think my opponent's on about 13 or 14. I'm not sure how many I was on, but my opponent was on about 13 or 14 if I counted correctly there. I've sped this up a little bit because it's 2 hours long and I don't want to have to commentate for 2 hours, so I've sped it up just to make the video a little bit more watchable. He's swinging leader into presumably my Unison again, just because he wants to get through my Unison. He might have swung it into Bojack. It doesn't matter though, because I'm just going to Sparking Negate again. And he's actually going to pass, which is terrifying. He's got 6 energy open. And I know that as soon as I start swinging into his leader, he's going to drop so many extra cards on me, and he potentially could mill me out within the next turn or 2. So I really need to be careful when it comes to drawing cards this turn. But I swing with my leader because I need to get my mills through as well. And he taps 2 for Oceanus. Here I'm thinking about potentially Zamasuing it back to his hand, but I don't want to draw the card off of Zamasu, because you have to draw a card when you play Zamasu, I think. And so I just opt against it. I'm not looking to swing a huge amount here, because although I have a pretty massive board, I'm probably not going to be able to take him from 6 life to 0 because of the amount of extra cards in his hand. He's going to have a lot of defensive tools to his availability. Here I just end up passing the turn, I think. even though I've got 6 energy open, or I think I have 7 energy open here, I just don't really have a play. I think that's potentially a problem with my current Janemba build, is sometimes you don't have a very proactive play if you need to tap energy, or if you have energy available. But I guess that's not really a problem because Janemba has its own inherent win condition. It's only ever going to be a problem if you're against a deck that has a better win condition, like Xeno, where it can mill you faster, or like maybe a deck that runs Android 17 turning the tide. Those are the only cases where it's going to be a problem, because you'll have to aggro them down quite quickly. Here he's just ultimate dragon quaking for the mill, and then he's dragon tackling for additional mills. I think I just choose the effect to make him draw a card. Yeah, I do. And he can warp one of my battle cards, so he warps out Bojack. And I have to mill 2 from that, 1 from the actual extra card and 1 from the leader, which is what makes Ultimate Dragon Tackle so good. I'm on about 6 cards left in deck there, I think. And he's on about 6 as well, so we're both very, very low. He just passes turn to me, okay. So here, I still have my Awaken available, which is really, really convenient in case I have any sort of proactive mill plays in my hand. I start off with swinging with my leader, because if he has Oceanus Negate, I need to make sure I get my leader swing through first, so that I get that mill too. And he does happen to have the Oceanus Negate. Ditch is a super combo because he obviously doesn't want to draw cards here. And then he checks the top card with Oceanus, and here he was reading if he has to take the card if it's a Shadow Dragon, and he realized it said you may, so he decided not to take the card because he's on about 4 cards left in deck, so he's going to get milled out pretty soon. Yeah, he's on 5 cards left in deck, I believe, there. So here I tap, it looks like I'm tapping 4 energy. Okay. So here I'm dropping the AOD Janemba AOD Janemba battle card, and I'm immediately going to warp it to activate the effect, because I don't want to swing into him, because then he'll drop extra cards on me, and I have about 2 cards left in deck, so if he mills me enough here, he can just win the game. It looks like he has 2 or 3 cards left in deck after my Janemba, so I tap 3 for a Pirate Parade, or Pirate's Pride I think it's called. That puts him at 2 cards left in deck, and then I Awaken to untap 2 and tap a further 3 for another Pirate's Pride, and that puts him at 1 card left in deck, which means that I can then pass turn and he goes to 0 and I mill him out. So perfectly executed there for the last turn. That was really, really good. Yeah, and I had 3 cards left in deck at the end there, so that was that was a really, really close one. But I managed to take the win for the first game. I'm going to leave it there for today because my voice is already getting quite sore, and I don't fancy staying here for another hour and 20 minutes commentating the rest of the match. But I'll try and get the rest of the match uploaded over the course of the next week or so. And for the future games, if they're shorter matches, I'll try and get them uploaded in one big video, just because that would be easier for you guys to watch, especially if it's sped up and chopped up enough so that it's not massively long. But thank you guys very, very much for watching if you made it this far. Definitely stay tuned for the other games that I'll be uploading later on. If you're interested in Game 2 and Game 3 of Janemba vs Xeno, definitely stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all of that good stuff. And obviously, if you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button, because I would love some good feedback. If you didn't like the video, leave some feedback in the comments to let me know why you didn't like it or something like that. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for the future videos, and I'll see you in the next one.